welcome to the second part of Rate My Deck for Warhammer Underworlds. If you watched the first part, you would have known I've split up the episodes just because there was too much deck at once. So for today, we'll have another set of player decks to watch over and review. As always, any changes I'll post in the episode description. But yeah, we've got 2 more decks coming up now, and I hope you enjoy what you see. So catch you on the flip side. For our 4th deck on Rate My Deck today, we have Jarosław. He's from Poland. His deck is Hrothgorn's Mantrappers. The playstyle is aggro, very aggro. And card collection, he owns everything, just missing some Yofari's Guardians cards. So with that view out of the way and all those details, let's get a look at our next deck. All right, so we have Hrothgorn Afterbar, an interesting name, but a nice name nonetheless. So it's Hrothgorn's Mantrappers. Once again, back on Underworlds DB. So we have Denial, Combination Strike, Scorched Earth, Singled Out, Solid Gains, Versatile Fighter, Arm of the Everwinter, Dinner Time, Flushed Out, Path to Victory, The Beast is Slain, and Unexpected Pitfall. Then we have, I like this, a nice 22 thick power card deck. Yeah. Oh, man after my own heart. As some of you may know, I am a fan of 22 power card decks, as I used to run them a lot myself. Yeah, we have Center of Attention, Sidestep, Stand and Shoot, Frozen Earth, Noblast Scramble, More Traps, Ravenous Fury, Blindside, Unnatural Truce, Distraction, Spectral Wings, Victor's Speed, Trophy Belt, Larval Lance, Great Fortitude, Amberbone Spear, Massive Bulk, Famed Hunter, Tome of Offerings, Glory Seeker, Champion's Fortitude, and Blessing of Hydrogos. Alright, so our 3 restricted cards are Combo Strike, Trophy Belt, Tome of Offerings, which is interesting. I can see where the deck's going. It's got 16 Glory, but I think Denial's going to be really tough. This is the problem with Denial. It's great in a best of 1, because your opponent can't really adapt, but in a best of 3, basically only going to score in 1 game. And when you need to win 2 games, I don't like running cards that only rely on 1 game to be successful. Combination Strike is interesting. Your Surges are quite reliable because you've got Scorched Earth and Arm of the Everwinter, which rely entirely on your power deck, but you just remove a feature token and you score it, or flip. Dinner Time completely requires a trap, which I'd probably drop because the issue is, while I love Bushwhacker, he's a huge target. And if you make him even more of an important target, your opponent will just play around that quite easily. And if they snipe him, that's 1 dead card. Flushed Out, which is really good when an enemy fighter is pushed and ends adjacent to your leader. After Victory is really good. Beast is Slain makes sense because Hrothgorn makes everyone a quarry. An Unexpected Pitfall. So the thing is, I would not run Unexpected Pitfall because you were entirely relying on lethal hexes because the trap could not score this. So I don't know if he's not aware. But yeah, if you're running this based on the trap model, I would drop that in. Then the issue is Center of Attention, Sidestep, Stand and Shoot. I like Stand and Shoot. So right off the bat, I would drop Denial for Keep Chopping. And you go, why would you run Keep Chopping? So you want to play more aggressively. So the issue is, once Hrothgorn gets into position, he's really good. Stand and Shoot is a nice reaction because it happens during your opponent's activation. So it'll help contribute scoring Keep Chopping. Just make 4 attack actions during the round for 2 Glory. You've got Noblast Scramble, which is really good. More Traps, which is based on Bushwhacker. And he flips a feature token that is either on or adjacent. Ravenous Fury allows Hrothgorn to attack with his range 1 attack action after failing. Blindside, I prefer Countercharge because it's a bigger push. Then you've got Unnatural Truce. I would drop this entirely. Unnatural Truce is a bad card. So here's where I go off on a massive spiel. But in card economy wise and draw cards, it's technically a +0, arguably a -1. You draw a card, you draw 2 power cards, each other one draws up to 1 power card. So the downside is you draw 2 power cards, but your opponent draws 1. So you get +1, but the way this works, it's actually +0 technically, because, yeah, you will draw 2 power cards, but then your opponent gets 1 in return. I see it, but I really don't like giving people card advantage in this game because cards are so important, especially considering the fact that most of the opponents you'll be running into will have a 20 card deck. So while you're trying to make your deck more efficient in itself, you're making your opponent way more efficient. So I would just drop a Natural Truce. Spectral Wings is good, but you don't have Gathered Momentum, so I don't see the point outside of just getting someone where you want to. Blessing of Hydrogos is good, but the issue is it requires a successful attack. I would drop it for Duelist Speed or just drop it entirely to get this deck down to 20. Champion's Fortitude, reroll defense dice. Glory Seeker is Helm of Offerings, Famed Hunter, which is Awakened Weapon for Hrothgorn, Massive Bulk, Amberbone Spear, Great Fortitude, Larval Lance, Trophy Belt, Speed. Alright, so here is my revised version of the deck that Yarlow sent. So yeah, Distraction, I mean, Denial has been swapped for Keep Chopping just because it's more reliable to do. I've also dropped needing to kill someone with the Trap, or Bold Conquest, because you just need to charge into objective with Hrothgorn, which is quite easy to do. The downside is you'll need to commit with Hrothgorn, but you can always hold off until you need to. And then Gathered Momentum, because Fafnir can score it with you without any cards. Gambits and upgrades have cut you down to 20, dropped a Natural Truce because you don't need it. Spectral Wings is the same. Distraction, I've dropped your card for Countercharge just because Countercharge is much better, especially for Hrothgorn. Obviously, Hrothgorn's got a ranged attack, so it's much easier for him to get into a supporting range, but Countercharge helps you get adjacent to enemy fighters, which Hrothgorn wants to do, because remember, he gets inspired, and the whole warband does, when he kills an adjacent enemy fighter. And Countercharge brings you right up to the opponent, unless they choose to attack Hrothgorn instead of the other target, which is generally a bad choice, but also gives extra mobility to Hrothgorn. Duelist Speed is also really good, because you can combine it with Hrothgorn while he's on movement 4 to potentially score Gather Momentum and Bold Conquest, because if you push with Duelist Speed, that's counted as a 5 hex push, because he moved 4, pushed 1 hex, so there's a 5 hex distance for Gather Momentum and then Bold Conquest, and it's just really good at you getting you onto objectives to flip them and remove them. And then, yeah, I've dropped Victor's Speed, so that's a much more honed deck. It's technically 1 less glory at 15, but it's far more reliable. So yeah, hopefully you like it, and you'll get way more usage out of your Hrothgorn's Mantrappers. So our 5th and final deck for today is from Alex, who sent this to me via my Twitter, so thank you very much. Is his Lady Harrow's Mournflight, warband close to my heart. It's control deck with flex. So it's just Beastgrave cards, which makes sense because he's future-proofing himself for Season 4, which makes sense. But yeah, it's a pretty solid deck. So we'll see what changes need to be made. Too much by the looks of it, but we'll have a look. Right, so firstly, the objective deck, 19 Glory, which is nice. The Dominion of Death, a favourite of mine. Fleeting Memories, Ghostly Torment, Inescapable Hunger, Nexus of Terror, Aggressive Strategy, Gathered Momentum, After Victory, Swift Capture, Team Effort, Temporary Victory, Other Ground. We've got Temporary Victory as our restricted card. Then Call of the Grave, Chilling Scream, Dissipate, Echoing Spite, Enervating Sorrow, Frightful Aspects. Right. Aggressive Surprise, Distraction, and Spectral Wings. Solid. And then for upgrades, we've got Debilitating Aura, Swooping Dash, Veil of Grief, Crypt Companion, Great Fortitude, Great Strength, Lethal Snares, Sing of the Urgrave, Grim Tenacity, and Formless Key. So, yeah, it's not what you'd argue a typical Mournflight deck. It's similar to what I run. It's just a bit more dedicated with sitting on objectives, I'd say. Let's go to the top. I don't think anything really needs changing. I'm not a fan of Gathered Momentum. Even though it's really easy to score with them, on the flip side, you have to charge 5 hex. Swift Catcher is good, Team Effort isn't bad. Yeah, that's a pretty solid deck. Nothing I think is bad there. Really strong cards, especially Dominion of Death, because once again, if you're going first in the final activation and you're already like tied on objectives, if your opponent has scored all of their surges and you need to score more, you feel you're going to score more, it's free glory your opponent can't deny, because you score it in the end phase after in whatever order you want. So whoever, if you've scored more objectives than your opponent, you get free glory. Obviously, if you're going first, you're generally going to have more objectives scored than your opponent, even if they end up scoring more after you, because you score before you determine what card your opponent has if you go first. So it's broken in the best of ways because it's worded in such a way that it is broken. But a really good deck overall for the objectives. This is really good. The only thing I would probably change is I would drop Dissipate for Buried Instinct, just because while Dissipate is really good by giving you an innate dodge, I really like just having a guard token, because the guard token sticks, whereas the Dissipate only lasts for the innate dodge only lasts for that attack action. And with Buried Instinct, it occupies the same reaction window, so it blocks Potion of Rage, and it also blocks ritual counters from Grashrak's Despoilers. But I just really like going on guard because you can charge in with someone like the Queen, go on guard, and then if they fail to hit, or even if they hit, they can't drive you back. And more importantly, you keep that you keep that guard token until the end of the activation, action phase. Really good. Other than that, those are really solid. Like Restless Prize, just helps you do everything you want. Probably try and fit in a sidestep somewhere, because I know you don't want 2 steps forward, because it's a Nightvolt card. Other than that, yeah, I'd just try and fit in a sidestep somewhere. The only issue is really good. All those cards you've picked. Probably drop Enervating Sorrow, because I believe that's discard a card when your opponent plays a power card. They have to either, as a reaction, you play this, and if they don't discard a power card, they can't play their card. I would just get Sidestep. Sidestep's more important, and you've got Chilling Scream, which is like no time but better because you still get to play power cards. And then for upgrades, I think they're pretty much perfect. Once again, obviously you don't want any Nightvolt cards, so I'll honor that request. Because the only thing that you could add is just Spectral Armor. I really like Grim Tenacity, really good because that just prevents you being driven back, which is essential. Yeah, and then you've also got Lethal Snares. I know it helps stop your opponent scoring stuff, but the issue is it's kind of counterintuitive to the deck. You could add something like, what would really help with gathered momentum is Amberbone Spear, just because it helps with your more inaccurate Banshees until they inspire. But Lethal Snares is the only weak link. But the great thing is it's just swapped out for whatever's your fancy. Other than that, those are really good cards. Formless Key, like your deck is desperately missing Quickening Greaves, but that is a Nightvolt card. So there's nothing you can do. You could probably drop Formless Key for something else, like something more aggro orientated, but there's nothing really I would change. All in all, I'd say that's a pretty solid deck, especially as it's just only Nightvolt cards that are excluded. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So yeah, those were the 5 decks covered today in my first episode of Rate My Deck. So I'm currently not accepting any more submissions, as I said at the start of the video, because you guys have sent me a lot of decks, and even I need time to process all the decks that I've seen today that have been sent to me. I'm just inbox just stuffed with decks. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, just let me know. It's something I plan to continue on doing. I've still got enough decks to keep me going. I can't get enough of those decks. Really like the big decks. Those are like 22. The legendary, well, I played against a 60 card deck. That was huge, so big. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Bit of learning process for everyone watching as well. Obviously, every deck that's sent to me, if I've made big changes, I'll give people personal feedback as well and send them the deck link if I've made any big changes. But always, thanks for watching. I'll have some more YouTube stuff up soon. As always, your support and viewership is always appreciated. Everyone's feedback has been great and just great to see. I'm really happy everyone's enjoying my content. But before I sign out, if you want to support the channel, you can always just like and subscribe. I've also got my affiliate link down in the in the episode description for Element Games. And all you have to do is just click on the link, and anything you buy from Element Games will help support the channel. You don't even have to buy anything Underworlds dedicated. You just need to follow through with the link. It's a nice little way. Also, because I really like Element Games myself, I buy most of my hobby stuff from there, and you get discounts from 25 to 15%. And they have such a wide selection of stuff. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll be back with another episode of Rate My Deck soon. So until next time, keep analyzing those decks, big, heavy drawn decks, and keep rolling crits.